I'm traveling from place to place and state to state to meet with my family members, to talk with them about their memories that they have about our family, talk with them about memories that they have about their own lives so that we can get to know one another better. This is that journey.
We're talking about your last meeting.
Yes, he was in Richmond, actually with mom, and I had court. I was, I believe it was visitation for Deja.
Okay.
And so, and mom came up to support me. Um, and they both came up. So he didn't come in court, but he drove. They came and picked me up. And we rode down, and it was just a great conversation that we had. We made each other laugh, and he didn't laugh if he didn't think it was funny. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things I liked about him. Very real, pretty transparent for the most part. You know, like I said, he would have his quiet times where he didn't, you know. And as a grown man, I so get it. I get it, you know. And then plus men are taught, you know, it's getting better, but we're taught not to really speak about our feelings. You know?
Yeah.
What they say, we suffer in silence. So it sounds a little cheesy, but some truth to it. But yeah, so that last meeting with him was very cool. It was just in the car, you know, about 20 minutes both, you know, each way. And I think at that time it might have been in Illinois still, or transitioning. But yeah, so yeah, met him when I was about 10 years old. And it's funny because I'm sure it was a lot for all of three of us at the time, because up until 9 or 10, I lived with my great aunt. So when I moved in with mom, I don't even think it was 6 months when she met Dwight. And they both got saved close to each other because they met at Evangel Temple.
Right.
So all of us were experiencing something new at the time. And I remember one thing we used to do, and my mom didn't take long to get married, but Friday nights we would hang out. He titled it Father-Son Night. And we didn't have a car, but we lived near a bunch of stuff. So we went to this pizza place, and he always knew where good food was. Okay. That's another thing he put me on. Yeah, he like I grew up around some great cooking. My great aunt was mean in the kitchen, but her range of, you know, different types of food wasn't very far. And so he had me trying samosas, and then mom learned how to make them. She made good ones too. He taught me, showed me knishes, different types of fancy dessert besides just the basic stuff. Like, and then doing that, you know, I would learn certain words. I would learn about different cultures and things like that. One thing we used to do, if we got a heavy enough snow, we would go out and hit cars with snowballs, me and him.
Nice.
That was a tradition as well.
Wow.
Yep. One of my favorite times. It was Dwight, mom, myself, and cousin Kenny and Leslie. Remember Letitia and Leslie, grandma's friends? Excuse me, no. Leslie didn't go with us. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mom fried up tons of chicken. We bagged it up. It looked like New Jack City because we just had piles of chicken and we just bagged it. Only thing we wasn't doing was winging it. But anyway, for homeless people in DC, it's so incredible for me because growing up in DC, I kind of got used to seeing them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I knew you know, it was sad. You know what I mean? I never, you know, looked at it any much further than that though, because where I lived, like it was nothing to see one. You know, maybe walking to school or going to the store from that age 1 to 10, wherever I told you I was living. So we stayed up, you know, like I said, mom did most of the cooking and we bagged it up with bread and then we just drove around DC and passed it out to people. And if I'm not mistaken, mom, don't get mad at me. I think that was his idea. But even if it wasn't, we all did that together.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like, just taught me something real important at a young age, you know? So yeah, I could ramble about dude.
For me, I felt like my main thing about Dwight Walker, I spent the majority of my life missing him.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I did talk to him or when he did come around for little bits of time in between here and there, it was always like insecure because like he would leave.
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, there was this thing about him where it was just, he made you want to be with him.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
so captivating, so charming, so
Yes.
funny,
Yes.
and
The most
amazing
charismatic guy.
storyteller.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so for that to always be, I feel like it was dangled on a thread in front of me. And I have
Wow.
like this, or I'm trying to get over, be healed from this victim thing
Mhm.
when it concerning him.
That's totally
So it's
understandable. He, like you said, very charismatic, unpredictable.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, like I said, looking back, I feel like I got what's the opposite of the short end of the stick? It sounds crazy. I got a beautiful overall. My experience with him was great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Like I said, there were times, you know, that I felt like that's not fair, or why'd you say that? But it was never anything over the top. You know, nothing that I couldn't get past. You know what I mean? He really did have my back.
What memories are the most vivid for you?
He was abusive. And those are the ones that stick out the most. So, because he was an alcoholic and what I clearly believe to be a narcissist, and a veteran, so who knows what they put into his body and the things that he's seen and stuff. So there's a mental disconnect in there. So given all of that, but he was still abusive. So like I remember, like me and Jessica had when we were like 6 years old, we wet the bed. Not all the time, but it happened. Because there was things going on. And I remember he told us not to get out of bed. And so, but you can't wet the bed. So Jessica got up to go to the bathroom. And he beat her from the bathroom back to the bed. And then he started hitting me because he thought I was pretending to be asleep. So I don't remember if I was, that's his thinking.
Is that a reason for a beating?
Yeah, exactly. Just always, very in your face, real close in your face, real loud, smelling, real quiet, smelling like cigarettes and alcohol. I remember this is after he left, and he told us not to fall asleep. Remember we were playing so it was a fold-out couch, and we were taking turns being stuffed up underneath there, and I am claustrophobic. I didn't like that game, so I had to have my head sticking out.
We were still little, right?
We were probably between around 7, 8, and he said don't fall asleep or don't brush your teeth or something. And I did one of the two because I'm getting ready to go to bed. I think I fell asleep or something. And so he, I think it was sleep, because he woke me up and grabbed me by my throat and picked me up and slammed me against the wall so I was eye level with him, so he could, didn't I tell you not to go to sleep? Stuff like that. I remember him cutting all our hair off, one at a time, cutting all our hair off, probably drunk then too. So, yeah.
There was this time me and Rachel, okay, we're twins. We were like this and we. So we were on the bus coming home one day. I don't know the circumstances because that was like kindergarten, first grade. But this girl, she was mad with Rachel. I was mad with Rachel. She was bothering me on the bus. And she was like, I'm going to kick your sister. She da-da-da-da-da again, right? And I was like, man, whatever. So I didn't stand up for her. So she ended up kicking Rachel. Dwight just happened to be at the house one of these blue moon times. And she told him what happened. And so we all are going inside the apartment, and he closes the door and keeps me in the hall. And he picked me up by my throat.
Oh my God.
And he slammed me into the door. And he was like, if you ever tell anyone they can harm my daughter again, I'll kill you. And then he dropped me. And then we went in the apartment.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but then, then you don't see him for a while, and you hope to see him. It's like, where's Daddy? And then like, Daddy, and, you know. And then we get into the hotel, and he picks Rachel up by her throat and threatens her life for going to bed when he ordered the pizza. Remember that? And so
I didn't remember why he did that, but I remember him doing it. And I remember, because I didn't even know which one of y'all it was. I just remember being up under the table with the other one.
Yeah, we built a tent because he was the king of forts.
Yes.
Right? So we built a tent, and we were going to go to bed, but he told us we couldn't go to bed. So Rachel went and got ready for bed, put her Nyquils on, brushed her teeth. You know, Rachel's always the first one to go to bed. Mm-hmm. So he thought she was being disrespectful, not listening, and threatened her too. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, when he dropped me, we pulled her under and, you know, trying to comfort her and everything. It's because he had ordered freaking pizza at like 11 something that night, and he didn't want us to go to bed before we ate the pizza that he bought.
Wow. As if the pizza couldn't have been eaten in the morning.
Right.
I didn't know what that was. I just remember hiding and being terrified.
Yeah.
And so scared for my sister. But like I said, the memories, like I didn't even know which one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we both had it, just different times. He was always really aggressive like that with me and Rachel, which was weird because we were so small and frail.
What
and 3, 4
is the first memory that popped into your head that you were about to say?
So we went to a family reunion, cookout or something, and we were told not to watch Chucky, right? We were like 5 or 6, right? And we watched it. And when we got home that night, I had nightmares so bad. I ended up having nightmares for like 8 years, Niecy. And I'm sensitive.
Yeah, that movie was terrifying.
Yeah. But the older cousins said, well, it's just a doll. You know, I don't know why they said you couldn't watch it, you know. Yeah. And I don't think they knew either. Because I was like, we should have listened.
Right.
But when we got home, I kept getting out of the bed. Because I was scared. Rachel went to sleep. They had already brought our bunk beds down side by side. And I kept getting out. And he warned me, you know, I'm going to tear you up if you get out again. But I'm like, there's dolls in here. You know, so I was scared. So I went in against better judgment. And he beat me from his room back to my room, threw me on the bed, beat me some more. And then started spanking Rachel.
Oh, snap.
Woke her up. She didn't know what was happening. She woke up to being spanked because he thought she was pretending to be asleep. So I felt so horrible, you know, that she got it too. Yeah. Because I got out the bed, you know. But yeah, that's what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, he did. He warned you.
Right.
Wow. So we were in Virginia because we had to be at that point.
Virginia or Fairfax.
But we moved.
That's what I had, yeah.
Yeah, for us to be that old, like you, 5 or 6.
And it had to have been like Timberley Way. Yeah.
Oh, it seems like your early memories, like those stories that you can tell, might have been at a point in his life where he didn't mind being married, he didn't mind being a family man, potentially. And I wondered because, you know, my thing was always, why did he leave? Oh, watch yourself. But it seems like whatever changed in him or made him want to do what he did, made him want to go, you got what the part of him that made him want to start the family.
Yeah.
That positive portion.
Yeah. I never looked at it that way, but that's pretty spot on. I didn't see, I guess, some of the actions that came later. I didn't see coming. Because I guess I lived with him for 9 years myself. I met him when I was around 9 or 10. And then once I went into the military, I was 18. And then I never really moved back home. Maybe, I think once or twice for like a short time. But he had already moved on. So yeah, I don't know, you know, what his mindset was later on. I didn't like everything I saw, you know, when it came to you, mom, and the twins, you know. But a lot of times I was like, well, he did that part right. Like, you know, certain things. I know the first time I remember him, I guess the first time they split, I think I was 19, and it wasn't long after I moved back to Maryland, and I was coming back and forth, but not that much. And one of the things that made me start coming back, remember that story you wrote about me? You wrote a story called My Big Brother. Drew a picture of me with my flat top and everything.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
You were little, and we were tight. I don't know if you remember.
I do.
Excuse me. So I was like, oh no, yeah. And I started coming back down more often. You know what I mean? And ended up moving back down. Because I was in Maryland, kind of being a young man, not being a totally responsible, no trouble with the law or anything, but I wasn't focused. So I came back down. Mom helped me get, situated again. And but since around that time, I haven't seen him a whole lot. But
that would make sense because after that he wasn't working with us.
right. Like it's like
is spot on. You were 19. That makes me 8. That's what
there it is. Yep.
So you kind of already touched on this, but if there's anything else you can think about, like you as a man and the parts in your mind that you consider yourself to be a good man, what, if anything, can you say that he imparted in you to help you become the man you consider yourself?
Oh man, he had a big part in it. So he gave a balanced teaching, so to speak. And it wasn't like he sat me down and taught me. Sometimes he did about certain stuff, which I appreciate. A lot of what I learned from him was by example. Super protective of family. He was protective of people he didn't even know, if the situation called for it. That's why I said you can never judge this man by his cover. One quick story. On his way home from work one time, suit and tie, he's on his way home, and he sees a fight at a construction site. It's like 2 or 3 guys against one. And it happened to be racial. About 3 white guys versus 1 black dude. He jumped out the car and rolled his sleeves up. He's like, we're going to even this up a little bit.
Wow.
And he didn't have to do that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That little thug in me come from daddy.
Yeah. He could be scary. And not just like, oh, he did stuff to us when we were kids and he was scary. Like, do you remember that time we were kids and I don't know.
When he beat that man?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He told that man, I'm going to let you hit me and that's going to be the last thing you do.
Oh, I didn't know that was part of that. I just remember him coming home with bloody knuckles.
Now, I don't remember seeing him after. I don't remember that.
I don't know what happened. I know he had beat the brakes off somebody's face.
He went and turned himself in after that because he was in combat. So when this man went after him, daddy snapped. And he came back too, hearing the man plead with him to stop beating him.
Wow.
And daddy stopped and went straight to the police station.
Oh, I didn't know.
Mommy told me he went straight to the police station.
Yeah, I remember him coming back, knuckles bloody. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, I remember, and they'll say, I don't know where we were living then, but I know when he moved us over to the apartments, because for a long time I put some blame with daddy for what happened to me when we lived over in the apartments, because my babysitter's brother did some things while we lived over there, but daddy wasn't living there. But when daddy found out, he was there, and and I was right there behind him. We lived here, and they lived in the apartment right here upstairs, and we were over there at the door, daddy banging on the door, and the boy that did it answered the door, and he was like, I want your father. And the dad is inside. He's grown. He's on his own. Daddy was like, that's all he needed to hear. Daddy said, and pulled that boy out and was choking him over the banister. And that's when I first learned about like revenge or vengeance, because I just wanted him to drop him.
Yeah. Drop
him straight on down. So yeah. But I'm glad I got to see that. I'm glad I got to see him defend me.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see him, I'm glad to see that boy get what was coming to him. And maybe some other stuff happened and I blocked it out because we know daddy crazy, so I don't know. But I know that he was choking the life out of that boy over the banister, and I'm grateful to have been able to see it.
Yeah.
Because that helped through the healing process. It's like, hey, at least Daddy came to my rescue, and Daddy hurt that boy. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that.
I mean, but he was very, I just feel like he was very fair. I learned that from him. I learned not to be too hasty. He was a thinker, calculated. Yeah. So he taught me to think. He taught me to be protective of the family. He even taught me to keep my nails clean. Like, he just taught me manly stuff that nobody else had. You know what I mean? My biological dad, I love him, but totally different. He taught me some things too, but I think when it comes to being a man, being a responsible man, being a parent, he taught me the most. Yeah. He taught me it was okay to be more than one thing. You know, like I said, I'm growing up in Northeast DC, thinking just you're supposed to be cool black dude, and that's pretty much it.
Right.
You like, you can be that, and you can also be smart. You can also help that old lady right there. You know what I mean? And yeah, super charismatic. I remember one time I got in trouble at private school, and he came to talk to the principal. And so I'm all scared. You know, I'm in the class, one of the classrooms. I saw him in the hall. He didn't give me a mean look or nothing. He said, hey, you know, excuse me. So I'm in class, and like 4 or 5 girls come running in. Is that your dad? Oh my God. He is so hot. I was like, thanks.
Right.
I was like, he's gonna be hot once he finished talking to Pastor Schweitzer. That was our principal.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
But I think that was another time where he just talked to me and I didn't get in big trouble. He wasn't always ready to put the hammer down. He was like teaching moments and things like that. So yeah, I think he taught me the importance of being well-rounded and fair.
Or the things that didn't make any sense, like the time Rachel. I thought I was actually prone, but poor Rachel, thinking back on it, she had stepped. We went to Churchill. Remember we were playing on Churchill, and she stepped on a piece of glass and went through her shoe and into her foot.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we were always giving up socks for Rachel. We had to give up our socks so he could tie her foot up and stop the bleeding. But then the time that we went skating and he told us we were going skating and she wore jellies or something.
Yep, I remember.
And we wore socks.
Yep.
And we both had to give up a sock.
So she could have two
So
socks.
she could have a sock. Because it wasn't going to be fair for one of us to give up a sock.
Right.
So, but now Rachel's got 2 socks. And
both
we're
of us
both got one
foot.
Right. Like, how does that make sense? You know, but
I guess.
it's 3 of us. So
Yeah.
I just feel like we all should have had one sock, or she should have been lesson learned. This is going to be a hard lesson learned for you, Rachel.
And now as a parent, I mean, I guess I look back at it and see maybe he's just teaching us how to look out for one another.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe in the ways that he used to disappear in the mall.
Oh my God, yes. Yes. Brother used to leave us in the mall. But, I never took my eye off you.
Right. Okay, weirdo. So you purposely traumatized us?
Right, so if some weird person came and took us away, you would have come sprinting from meters away, like...
Right, but he said do you remember why?
To see what we would do.
Right.
Like, and then we went to the police.
Right, then we're talking to the police and he just walks up and, you know, says who he is, whatever, and he was, I'm proud of you girls, you know. Just wanted to see what you would do. I was right there. I never took my eye off you. We're like...
I mean, okay.
Right.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about his job. That's one of my best memories.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because we would do the plays. He worked at Crestar Bank, and they had this massive building downtown Richmond. And, well, I don't know if they owned the whole building, but their name was on it.
Yes, and we were on the 16th floor. He would take us to work with him on the Saturdays that he picked us up.
And it would be dark because, you know,
Yes.
we weren't even really supposed to be in there, I guess.
It was just off
or
hours.
off, right?
It was
And
a
we would get
weekend.
in the chairs and race down the halls, and they had this big auditorium, you know, with a stage and like stadium seating, and we would do like he would sit, you know, in the audience. We put on plays like Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood.
Wow, I forgot about that part.
All that, yeah, that was
Wow,
cool.
that's awesome.
And then it had those statues or those like that structure outside. You know, the silver and blue
where it was
thing,
like
this, and there's like 3 or 4 of them, and you can run it. They still have that out there. It's a different bank.
It's SunTrust now. Or now it's not even SunTrust anymore. The last time I went, I think it said something else, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I can't remember. Probably something like that, but those structures were still out there.
I want to go
because
there.
I saw it when we met up with our brother Kenny, or me and Renee did. Had to be like 6 years ago now, but they were still out there then.
Wow.
Yeah, because I didn't even know where we were, and then we passed by a girl. You talking about getting all choked up? I was like, oh my God, Renee, do you know where we are?
Those are some of my best memories.
Yeah.
And even though we weren't necessarily like directly with him because he was in there working, just it being so big, and it was just like rows and rows and rows of
and
cubicles.
he let us have at it.
Yes, we were up in
put
people's
those chairs down,
cubicles.
sit down. He was like, here, get this one. You know,
Yeah.
make sure you hold it like this when you run. You know,
Right.
like
And we got these massively long corridors between the cubicles, and we
run,
pushing each other
jump
in
in
the
the seat.
rolling chairs. Yes, we had so much fun. In
whiteboards to write on, everything.
Yes, all up in the people's cubicles, all up in their stuff.
Looking at people's pictures.
They
and
probably
everything.
have to come back to work on Mondays like, who is doing this?
Right, who's moving my things?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why he didn't mind, taking up for me if mom or even school might have been feeling a certain way. You know what I mean? He even acknowledged the fact that we moved quite a bit. So adjusting at that age, early teens, it's tough. You know what I mean? So he wasn't always, he thought about stuff. He wasn't always ready to get the bill or, nothing like that. So yeah, I talk about him pretty often. Mm-hmm. Because he
was such a
major
role at that point in your life where you're becoming from a child to a man.
Right. And let me even specify, like I said, I was raised by my Aunt Helena. Love her. She was awesome. And also her roommate, a lady named Miss Sadie. From birth to 9, 10 years old, I'm raised by women. So I wasn't, luckily I didn't, turn out to be feminine or anything. But he was the first man that really put time in and taught me stuff. You know what I mean? And he understood that I was spoiled, by women. He understood that I was young and I didn't care if my nails were dirty. You know what I mean? He even put me on a salt diet one time. Nobody paid attention. I used to be like,
wow.
At 9, 10 years old, just because that's what I did. He was like, oh, you do that all the time? Going on a salt diet. And even at that age, I knew he was looking out for me. You know what I mean? So yeah, he was the dude, man. He was. And I know, he had his stuff with him, like we all do. It's just, it's tough when you're the leader and you got stuff going on, because then you get the domino effect, it starts to affect the kids, affect your wife, So I'm not gonna act like brother was perfect. But for me in my life, he was a lifesaver. Yeah. Because like I said, raised by women, people do it all the time. But I'm glad I got that balance from him.